Great. My name is Orestes Mihaly. I'm the general manager for PRG in New York, and with me is John Hennessey, who's head of our automation department in New York as well. Both of us have been with PRG since 1987, and we do handle a lot of the motion control for the company. We want to thank you for making us a finalist. This was kind of a surprise to us, so we appreciate that greatly. What I'd like to talk to you about is our new product, which is the Commander Console. We've been doing automation in New York. The first big show was Phantom of the Opera back in 1988. And so we have a lot of experience of doing automation with grumpy stagehands in New York. And what we decided to do is to take all that information and see if we could create a better interface for the user. That way, it's going to be easier to control a show or program a show. It will be better for the operator to understand when there are problems and how to correct those problems. And we also wanted to look at what is the user experience. And so we've added some features that I'll point out on this picture. One of the features is a lot of times you have a cue light system where it's, all these wires are coming at you. So we decided to add a cue light system that would be stock. It's that little bar across the top. It has LEDs that light up, so that can be added right there. We also wanted to have a ClearCom system put in. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you can get a 2-channel ClearCom plugged into your board. Okay. We also wanted to add. I lost my train of thought. We also wanted to add. Let me go to the next slide. That'll help me out here. We wanted to add. We have PreVisualization. I'm better off speaking with just this out here, and I can go through the points later instead of reading them to you. We also wanted to add PreVisualization and visualization for the operators, and I don't have a picture of it. This console comes with a stock 30-inch monitor, and on there is your cue sheet information and everything. You can add another secondary monitor to it if you want, and there we could put on the visualization. The visualization is a whole separate package that initially the intent was for the operator to see the show move, and that if there was a problem with a unit, that item would turn red. It would highlight what the problem is. So instead of Effect 52, we have a problem. No, I see it's the stage right periactoid, and it's just, image is worth 1,000 words. We also discovered that this was also maybe a good design tool now that we can work with designers. And the reason why is because we've wanted the visualization to not be just plain old cubes and rectangles and stuff like that, but we wanted to take the actual designer's renderings and skin the renderings onto the visualization. Plus with that, you can put the different sight lines, because in New York that's very important about our sight lines. And you really can kind of rough the show in. It doesn't mean you're going to pre-cue the show, walk in the theater, and hit the go button. That doesn't mean that. It's never going to happen. But it does give people a sense of timing. We're actually starting to work with that now. We have a current show, a Toyota dealer convention, and they only have 6 hours for programming. So they really want to be able to see what they can do and what the sight lines are going to look like in the arena. It was important to them. I remember the other feature I wanted to tell you. Also in the theater, there's also cameras, monitors. There's areas where there's problems. We have a lift. We want to make sure that people are safe. On the 30-inch monitor, you can have an input on a cue-by-cue basis of a camera. You can even have a camera with the whole show, or you have 3 or 4 other cameras, and they'll pop up. So you're trying to direct the operator's attention to what they're supposed to be looking at during the show. So all these features combined really make a better user interface. The other thing that we're now working on with PRG is trying to now integrate our lighting console and our console, so that way we are looking at getting go commands and sending go commands to the lighting or the MBox Extreme Media Server. So it's trying to integrate all those pieces together, and obviously to do it as safe as possible. I think I pretty much covered it. I know we're supposed to have a very short period of time. The system is accurate within 1/10 of an inch, but it is part of a whole system. The console is new. It's a new part of the system, and we have I've really discussed all this stuff. Some of the up and coming things are we're going to add pendants, so you can have local control while you're doing some tech work. You don't have to call the guy down at the board and say, hey, can you jog this? You can actually take control and jog it. And we're also working on a mini commander, which is another auxiliary piece that he can be either used alongside this or in addition to, or it can be used alone if you have a very small show. You just have an 8 effect show, you can use this. The commander will use, people ask me all the time, how many effects will it control? As many as you want, but how safe, how many effects do you want one person to be in charge of if something goes wrong? So that's really the answer. We're currently have the commander in use on Promises, Promise, Spider-Man, which is loading in, Lombardi, Women on the Verge, they're all loading into Broadway right now. Mary Poppins is on tour, is running around with one of them, and Shrek is also on tour with that. One of the other features that's also nice about the console is that it does have we call it a hot backup, maybe it's a bad term, but if you're running the show, your console goes down, you can have a laptop sitting next to you that's advancing cues as you go. So if for some reason you have a problem, take control, advance and go. So it's pretty seamless as far as the changeover. And it's happened and it's worked perfectly. So it worked out real well. You hate to see something goes down, but computers are not perfect. So that's kind of a quick overview. If you want to see it, I ask you to come to our booth and take a look. And if you have any questions, technical questions, John and I can answer them, but John's really the person who's been in charge of it.
How do you make a stagehand happy?
How?
I've never found a way. What? Seriously. What? From a safety standpoint, if you've got cues if you've got something that goes down, what does the console do to help you, to correct it or to alleviate the problem, stop the cue, or how does that work?
What's available to the operator are on a couple of levels. Okay, the operator has visual capability to see a particular fault. Now, a fault could come from any number of possibilities. Somebody could stick their foot in it, you could hit a wall, but you offer them the capabilities of anything that's discrete coming back to them being displayed and offered up to them. You offer them the capability to add via the software interlocks or safety interlocks, if you want to call them that, to the extent of, hey, I've got a flying piece coming in, I've got a deck piece coming on. Can I write a routine within this front end without having to get at code level that will allow me to interlock the two pieces not to hit? Now, when equipment is moving fast, and it can, okay, you do have to experience the fact that there are limitations as to how safe things are, and oftentimes then it becomes a line of sight, and you have an enable button or something that's part of your safety to that particular effect that's required on top of whatever you might be using software-wise to help out. So if that answers your question, there's always an e-stop with the goal of, you don't want to hit the e-stop. You got big pieces of scenery and they're moving fast, and you hit the e-stop and stuff. Yeah,
that was kind of where I was heading, where the real problem does lie with an e-stop and trying to stop a piece that's moving at 100 feet per minute instantly.
Yes, and what you do run into is you do have to do a complete power loss when things are moving, and will it absorb it? And so that's what you test that in the shop. Maybe it's not the same as in a theater, but you put your load on it and you hit it going full speed, and you got to see what happens to your mechanical winch, what happens to the cable, because sooner or later the power is going to get cut and your e-stop's going to drop out, and you're going to be moving pieces of scenery at the least expected time. So it is experience, but you do have to hit that button.
There you're looking at the system overall. What's going to happen in this?